Porter persisting with this around the wicket line, little bit leg side-ish, and Charlesworth works away wide of mid-wicket. They might have taken a quick single there, but elected not to. Walter, I was going to call him a beanpole if that's if that's something you can say, but he's very tall, and he got across well to field. Essex still with these 4 slips in place. Why not, really, with the situation as is. Essex having already struck early here. Porter bowls. Charlesworth struck on the pad, and he's been given as well. Second LBW for Porter, second wicket for Essex, and Charlesworth has to trudge off. Both openers gone. LBW Porter, Charlesworth out for 12, and it's 20 for 2.
Yeah, must have just nipped back in, but the way that came off and popped out into the offside, it must have taken him around the knee roll. In the upward direction. It didn't just go flat back down the pitch, but the umpire had no hesitation, pointed, raised his finger straight away, and that's the end of Hammond as well. So Essex making inroads as well. Remember, they won the toss, elected to bowl. Gloucestershire 20 for 2.
Yeah, just hitting that length again, and like you said, I had wondered a little bit about height. Neil Bainson obviously had to think a bit more about that one than the first one, but still raising the finger pretty promptly. And now Chris Dent's come out, and I think I'm right in saying, and I'll just double check this, but it's been around about this mark. In fact, yes, it was. In the first innings of the last match, it was 20 for 2 when he came to the crease. So really, it's been pretty much opening the batting, even though he's been batting at 4, really, but pretty much every time so far. And it lasted a little bit longer in the second innings, but 40 for 2 it was in the 23rd over, so I suppose the new ball was seen off a bit more when Dent came to the crease in the second innings against Northants. But anyway, here he is at his number 4 position, and he edges that one, and it's just wide of the gully. And I say gully, it's just a little bit wider than the other slips. It's flashed down to the third man boundary for 4 runs. I don't know whether it carried or not anyway. May have just done, but right into the gap, and there wasn't much of a gap. 4 runs to Dent, and it's 24 for 2.
Michael in the Tarragona region said he's receiving this well, although we are breaking up a little bit. Yes, he's asking if the equipment is antiquated. I would say this ISDN kit is probably from circa 1980.
They don't tend to be very new things, as Dent this time angles it down to third man. That was far more convincingly played through that region. In the last one, it's trickling towards the boundary and over it. So back-to-back boundaries for the Gloucestershire captain. That one he did play softly, dropped the hands on it, and the end of the over. Still applause for Porter, having only gone for, well, I said, he went for the 3 earlier on in that over, but 11 runs off the over doesn't tell you anything like the story of that over. 3 to Bracey, which was a squirted drive, really just wide of backward point, in the air for a time, and then the last 2 boundaries not so convincing. I think there might be an update coming by the sounds of things, so it's all happening.
Yeah. I can see why that is, but I think 2 things got changed.
Dick Davis has stepped in alongside me, hopefully just in time for an update which may potentially be coming.
Okay. You just had someone email in saying everything was sort of okay, so...
So Cook from the river end rather, in and bowling to Bracey, who's forward and pushing that one up towards mid-off, and reports of Dick Davis' arrival appear to have been premature.
Yeah. Looks like we might have an update. It's chaos this morning.
It's absolute chaos. I'm loving it, I have to say. Loving every moment of this so far.
I'll just take over the commentary while someone...
Yes, please do.
Apologies for this morning. We will get our professional act together at some point. When that is, we're not entirely sure. turning at the top of his mark. So there's 4 slips in, backward point, mid on, mid off, mid wicket, as this delivery is just played off the middle and off, down towards the man at mid on, and there is no run. 28 for 2, Hammond and Charlesworth both gone this morning. LBW to Porter, strong start for Essex, but the runs have been coming as well. A few streaky boundaries, but also a couple of lovely drives as well. Porter will come back to the top of his mark. It's Bracey on strike. Right arm round. Bracey drives loosely as he edged. He's gone. Hit the edge, a loose drive from Bracey. It was 4 from Porter. 4 from Cook, sorry. And that's Cook's first wicket of the morning. A loose one, that from Bracey. And a nick behind to Wheater, the simplest of catches. And Bracey goes. Bracey goes for 3. And Gloucestershire are 28 for 3. It's been a strong start for Essex this morning. They won the toss, elected to bowl, and they've got Gloucestershire 28 for 3. Cook literally just got his first wicket of the morning, full-length delivery to James Bracey, the England wicket-keeper, and that was edged behind to Wheater. Simple catch for Wheater. The 2 earlier wickets were Charlesworth 12, LBW to Porter, and just before that was Hammond, LBW 5 to Porter as well. Remember, Essex won the toss. They lined up with Brown, Cook, Wesley Pepper, Walter, Rymel, Wheater, Harmer, Snater, Cook and Porter. Same lineup that finished the game against Glamorgan, which they won handsomely. Looking to win this one here again today. Remember, this is just day 1, but Essex already this morning, half an hour in, have got Gloucestershire 28 for 3.
Right, we've had the update. Hopefully people are hearing me. Can we settle into some cricket? The cricket that we have seen has been pretty much all Essex so far. Good morning, Dick. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. I've hardly seen a ball bowled so far today, so I've been otherwise occupied totally in vain, it would appear.
Well, Tom Lace is the new batsman for Gloucestershire, out at number 5. And it's bowled, first ball on off stump. Lace with a uncertain defensive shot, really neither forward nor back, and I think he's ended up chopping that one onto his stumps with, as I say, it was just a poke really, nothing more than that, and chopped right onto off stump. Gloucestershire are in dire straits now at 28 for 4. They've lost Tom Lace, who batted so well for them in that chase against Northants, finished 67 not out, and really looked like he was, not quite batting on a different pitch to everyone else, but he came out and made batting look easy when even Miles Hammond, who'd made 94 in that chase, hadn't made batting look so easy. But he's gone, and it's 28 for 4.
Yes, so a very good start for Essex. It is a bit echoey, isn't it?
Yes, and I'm not hearing you in my headphones now, so...
I'm not hearing me in the headphones either.
No, just when we thought everything was all going along swimmingly.
We'll endeavour to sort it out at lunchtime, but there's not an awful lot we can do at the moment. I have been advised to swap back to the situation where we were before, so we'll just lose Ed for half a minute.
Who's that? Lovely.
Right. Are we in a situation where... who knows? I think seeing as it's the hat-trick ball, you better do it anyway.
Yes, okay then. So who's just come in?
This is Graham Van Buren.
Graham Van Buren.
So, also, pretty decent form. He made 2 half-centuries in the match against Northamptonshire. However, at 28 for 4, I'm not sure anyone really feels in great form when they're coming out with that score on the board.
Well, no, quite. So Cook on a hat-trick. Bowling from the river end to Van Buren. And we apologise for... You may not be having any problems at your end, but we are here. As he moves in, bowls, and played with great confidence out to mid-off. Fielded by Snater.
Did he know that was a hat-trick ball? Because that seemed quite a confident shot for somebody who was facing a hat-trick ball.
Maybe not, no. So, as I say, if you're having problems receiving us, then we can only apologise. We are not technical people at all, and we don't pretend to be technical people. We are paid a pittance to commentate, not to do anything more than that. That's played out to the middle. And it's a rival, and it's the end of a highly eventful over in more ways than one. And Gloucestershire moved on. Well, they haven't moved on. They've stayed at 28 for 4.
Double wicket maiden from Sam Cook, who's... I don't know, is it fair to say his job these days almost seems to be now to try to outdo Jamie Porter somehow, because that's what he's done here.
Oh yes, I think Cook is probably now looked upon as the main strike bowler. Porter, by his own high standards, has had a pretty lean couple of seasons, really. Well, I mean, we've all had lean seasons in one way or another. There hasn't been that much cricket anyway. But now David's having a go, everybody's having a go, it's fiddling around with the various buttons. We don't know what we're doing, but we do know we're watching an interesting game of cricket.
So here's Porter starting his fifth over bowling to Dent, who plays defensively up towards mid-on. So that's the first ball that Chris Dent hasn't got a boundary off. And in amongst 28 for 4 after 8 overs, Chris Dent's got 8 off 3 balls, which admittedly both angled shots down through third man, one of which more convincing than the other, but it has been a funny old start this for many reasons.
You won't forget your first Chelmsford.
No, quite. Here comes Porter, he bowls, and that's a rising delivery of a full length, which is left alone by Dent through to Wheater. Yeah, the last 2 times I've been here we haven't seen any cricket at all, and judging by the way that this has started, it's probably a good reason that we didn't, because goodness knows what might have happened. The equipment might have exploded.
Sounds right. But looking at the wicket, it's very easy to see why Essex invited, as the euphemism goes, invited the visitors to bat. It is distinctly green.
Yes, it's one of those things, isn't it? Invite the opposition to bat first. Dent dabs that one backward and point this time. Won't get a run as it's fielded by Michael Pepper there. But you'd have to think surfaces here would tend to be result surfaces these days, and Gloucestershire were always going to feel like they were going to be under the pump here with the bowling attack that Essex have. But 28 for 4, not the way they would have hoped to start by any stretch. So that's a full delivery. Dent defends that one out into the leg side, and it's picked up at mid-wicket by Walter. First innings continued to be a bit of an issue for Gloucestershire of late, and they've been able to work their way out of trouble a couple of times, most notably the Northants game last time, and also the game against Leicestershire on in the season. But I think against a side like Essex, you're not going to be able to do that. Porter bowls, that's extra taken, and it's 5 down now. A comfortable catch for Simon Palmer at slip, and it's 28 for 5 as Dent departs for 8, bit squared up. Pretty regulation nick, pretty regulation slip catch.
Well, yes, it was, and although Harmer quite rightly has earned a reputation as being one of the finest spin bowlers not only in the country but possibly the world, he's also a very, very useful slip fielder.
Yeah.
So Porter goes into the lead, he has 3 wickets, and although seam bowlers bowled sort of in partnership, I think they're inclined to bowl in competition with each other as well, and Porter's leading 3-2 at half time so far.
Yeah, well, I think it's good to have that kind of healthy competition, I suppose, isn't it? And then, of course, Snater, who has suddenly burst into the third seamers role, but then what a match he had last match by the looks of things. I don't know if they were or not.
Yes.
So things aren't going to get very much easier for Gloucestershire if they do manage to see off this new ball pairing with Snater and then potentially Harmer to come on as well. Gloucestershire didn't do well to reach 3 figures from here at this point. It's been an absolute nightmare so far.
I was so busy trying in vain to sort out technical problems, talk about the bland leaving the bland. How many did Charlesworth and Hammond get respectively?
I will tell you in a sec. Charlesworth made 12 and Hammond made 5.
They were both LBW
and
Porter.
Both LBW Porter, yeah.
Thanks, Ed, very much.
So Higgins is out in the 9th over of the innings. As Higgins goes onto the back foot and defends. So that's the second wicket maiden for Jamie Porter. Sam Cook has a double wicket maiden. 28 for 5 in, I don't want to say glorious sunshine, it's hazy sunshine at the moment, but Gloucestershire are not going to be enjoying it one bit on that balcony there, and it's, I'd imagine, a bit of a state of shell shock up there at the moment.
Well, yes, and of course so much of this game is played in the mind. Admittedly the wicket is very helpful and the Essex bowlers are bowling well, but yeah, when you're sitting on the balcony and you see your side 28 for 5, yeah, psychologically you go out there thinking, well, not thinking too positively. So, yeah, tremendous start for Essex, but of course, yeah, cricket is full of cliches, one of which is never judge one innings until you've seen the other one as well. And similarly, we're only halfway through it. Gloucestershire could still get 400 as Cook moves in and bowls, and that's a good-looking shot. Counts later at mid-off, a confident shot, and put to the pitch the ball and throw it with authority, but not productively.
It's been kind of bizarre though, hasn't it? We've seen these a couple of beautiful straight drives, and you think, well, maybe this pitch is quite good actually. And then everything else.
And of course, there's a very, very inviting gap on the offside. Between mid-off, there's nobody until you get to backward point. As Cook moves in again and bowls. Short of a length, but sure enough, cracked away through that gap, and it will just about, yes it does beat Pepper, I think it is, to the boundary just in front of square on the offside. And Gloucestershire move into the 30s. 32 for 5. And, yeah, a good looking shot there from Van Buren. Nice way to get off the mark. Cracked through that very inviting gap, which is obviously invitingly not the shot off the back foot, but the shot off the front foot, with 4 slips lurking, awaiting the edge. It's just played solidly. And, as is typical in professional cricket, or even some club cricket, you know, the batsman plays a perfectly confident, competent, solid, immaculate defensive shot, and the slips the wicketkeeper go, oh, as much to say, you were so lucky there, chum.
Oh, but when it hit the stumps, if you had got the middle of the bat,
if you got the middle of the bat away, it would hit the stumps. Yes, well, that's why I'm here. That's my job. As Cook moves in again, right arm over the wicket. Bowls to Van Buren, who lets that go right outside the off stump to the keeper. Brito has 4 slips keeping him company. Then there's a backward point and a mid-off, as I say. So that's 6, and then the 3 on the leg of the mid-on, the mid-wicket, and a long lob almost disguised against the white of the hospitality suite, or the Premier Suite, I think it's known, down by the main entrance.
Sounds very, very flash.
Oh, this is Essex, you know. Cook goes in again and bowls. And now some disappointing ones to get out. The most disappointing is the shoulder arms and lose your off stump in the process. And it may have come back a little bit. Yes, the professional batsman, he couldn't have just missed a straight one, and we're not right behind the line. But oh dear, it doesn't look good, does it, when you do that?
No, absolutely not. No, and you know, I said it actually last match when Charlesworth did it. The stump went out the ground. When the stump gets uprooted when you've left, it's one thing as well. And there are leaves which just clip the bails, and there are leaves where the ball cannons into off stump. I think it did come back. I think.
Yes.
But at the same time, the ball's doing bits, and well, Van Buren had been on decent form. They're not players who are coming into this innings off the back of absolutely no runs at all. Gloucestershire batted very well in the second innings against Northants, but even the batsmen who are coming in with confidence have been all at sea with this new ball spell, and really, unfortunately for Van Buren, that was probably about the worst of the dismissals that we've had so far, even though, Tom Lace in particular, that drag on certain shots, but shouldering arms to ball crashing into off stump, that's pretty, well, there's ways to get out, yes, that's pretty much right down the bottom of the list of ways that you want to get out.
It's not something you ask for a review on, is it?
No, I mean, run out without facing a ball, probably number one.
And that's the second.
And that's probably the second.
Ollie Price has come to the wicket. Tall man. A very, very confident appeal there. There again, the ball did come back, and it wasn't given by the umpire, but another good over. So Porter 3, Cook 3 at the moment in terms of wickets, and Gloucestershire visitors 32 for 6. So. There's not an awful lot more to say about it, really. It's just been a very, very... under these circumstances, you know, we always get asked, is it good bowling or bad batting? Well, it's as in life, you know, things are seldom down to just one. It's usually one or the other, or one and the other, combination of the two. It is good bowling, but some of the shots have been indistinguished at best.
Yes. So Porter into his sixth over. I mean, that's driven gloriously straight down the ground past the stumps at the non-striker's end, and Ryan Higgins gets off the mark with the better shots that you'll see. A delightful on drive.
I would think that's the shot of the morning.
Beautifully timed, and well, this is just how it's been. You've seen Charlesworth played 2 magnificent straight drives. Now Higgins has played one, and you kind of think if the ball is on that half volley length, it seemed quite easy to. Higgins come down pitch and bowl him away through square leg, and that's rattling away to the boundary for another 4. Well, that's one way to go about it. Higgins seldom a cricketer that takes a backward step, but even he, quite surprised to see him come charging at Jamie Porter, but it worked. Well, it's 40 for 6.
Remember 6, did it?
40 for 6.
Yeah, 40 for 6. I thought you said he hit it for 6. I was going to say, well,
no.
It's a big boundary out there because the wicket is pitched. Oh no, that's when it's about equidistant.
No, they would have had to have brought in the boundaries.
Yes,
quite some way for that to have gone. About where the square leg umpire is, I think.
Yes, yes, exactly. But well, yes, attack is the best method of defence.
I think it might be on this, you know. Porter bowls, and that strikes Higgins' thigh pad, hip kind of area as he looked to work into the leg side, but just doubles off his body out into the offside.
One of the batsmen sitting up on the balcony still to bat is David Payne. He has put in one or two very, very good performances here, so I expect he won't want to be bowling sooner rather than later, but he's probably thinking, when I do, I might be in with a good chance on this.
No, like, I shouldn't think he would have thought I might be bowling before lunch.
No.
Here comes Porter, he's in, and that's left by Higgins, quite wide of off stump and getting wider, and Wheater kind of belly flopped across to his right to take it. Lovely conditions for watching cricket, assuming you've got your sunblock.
Yes.
But
yes, it's a very pleasant late summer or very early autumn day, depending on when you think summer ends and autumn begins.
Really the majority of people in here, and there are a very good number, as you'd expect here, are enjoying this, I'm sure. Porter bowls, Higgins drives down the ground. This time he's got it more of the inner half of the bat, and it goes straight to Snater at, pardon me, that's not Snater at mid-on, is it? Snater's at mid-on. It's picked up by Cook at mid-on, and there's no run. Sam Cook, of course, with Sir Alistair stationed at first slip. Palmer is at second, Wesley at third, and Brown at fourth. As Porter, past umpire Bainton, bowls, Higgins drives, but this time Snater will do the fielding up at mid-off, and the end of the over, 8 runs off it. Porter's figures 6 overs, 2 maidens, 3 for 26. It's been all over the place in many ways this start so far, both here and out in the middle. 40 for 6 after 11 overs. The run rate's perfectly fine. Just the wickets column that's a bit of a problem for Gloucestershire.
Yes, just a bit. So unsurprisingly, it's going to be Cook to continue from the river end. Are you using your own Wi-Fi or the club's Wi-Fi to get that up?
I am using the Essex Press Wi-Fi, which wasn't working on my phone, but suddenly started working on my laptop, which I'm thankful for.
Cook moves in, bowls, and it's played defensively, solidly, painstakingly by Ollie Price, who's head over the ball. A good-looking shot. So Gloucestershire, well, we've all watched enough cricket to know that Gloucestershire could easily mount a rearguard defence, and then that becomes attack. So nobody should get too carried away, but at the moment Essex are in, I would say, the stronger position.
I think I might have to agree with you on that.
Cook moves in, bowls, and again it's played solidly. Just trickles out to mid-on, where it's fielded by Josh Rymel, who throws it to the keeper at the far end.
Yeah, it's been a mixture, hasn't it, in terms of the wickets, of indecision and particularly, I think, in terms of a particularly poor shot, I think you'd probably say Bracey's dismissal in terms of a loose drive outside off stump. When you look at the other dismissals, it's mostly just been indecision, I think, that's caused the wickets to fall.
Cook again, right arm over the wicket into the tall right-handed figure of Ollie Price, who plays it out. Not with great force, but plays it out into that gap on the offside, and because it's such a big gap, then a single is easily taken. As I say, there's a very inviting gap. In fact, it may well have been that gap that accounted for Bracey. Probably just couldn't resist it.
Yeah, he was out in actually exactly the same way in his last innings against Northampton, a loose drive and a ball which wasn't really a half volley outside the off stump. And when Bracey's in form, he is hitting those, and he's getting his head right over the ball, and he's playing it through the covers with ease.
Yes. Cook to Higgins. Higgins plays that down to fourth slip, where it's fielded by Nick Brown, who got a splendid century down at Cardiff last week.
Yes, you weren't at Cardiff for too long either, were you?
Well, I was due to cover the days 3 and 4.
Oh, right.
And I saw 41 deliveries. As Cook moves in and bowls. but that's outside the off-stump, goes through to the keeper.
But you got your money's worth, I'm sure.
I didn't mind too much. I always choose to go to Cardiff because I like the city and I've got a few relatives down there, so it gave me the best part of 2 days to impose myself upon local relatives. And no, it's a lovely city.
Yeah, it is.
As is Bristol, I hasten to add.
Oh yes, goes without saying.
As is Chelmsford, the city of Chelmsford. As Cook moves in and bowls. And very pleasantly worked away off his legs. A good shot through mid-wicket. It may or may not go for 4, and it does quite easily in the end. It's inclined to run away slightly down the hill towards the river there. And once it had beaten the infield, it was Walter who was nearer to Walter than anybody else, but once it beat him, then it was 4 all the way. So at the end of the over, and Gloucestershire, having been put into bat, are 45 or 6.
Joint top scorer, Ryan Higgins now. He equalled Tony Charlesworth's 12. Dear me. Everything seems to have, as it would do really when you've lost 6 wickets in such a short space of time. Everything's just happened in the blink of an eye, even the 45 runs. Somehow it feels as though Gloucestershire don't even have that many.
No.
Extraordinary
yes, we haven't had an hour's play yet.
No,
we've had 45 runs and 6 wickets and technical. We don't have problems nowadays, so we're told we have challenges. So
opportunities.
Opportunities for growth.
Yes, that's right.
Comes Porter and he bowls to Ollie Price, who shoulders arms.
It's all part of life's putting a positive spin on anything. Yes, yes. We're not exactly sacking you, Mr. Bloggs. We're just giving you an opportunity to seek new horizons.
Yes, that's right.
For which you should be very grateful.
Opportunities elsewhere, magnanimously releasing you from our clutches.
Yes, because we're like that. We're all heart. And similarly, we don't have problems, we have challenges, because that looks at the positive side of solving them rather than the negative side of being confronted with them. God dear.
Porter to Ollie Price, who once more leaves alone well outside the off stump.
Way outside the off stump.
Yes, I'm not sure, however, that you would be able to tell any of the 6 Gloucestershire players who have walked back to the dressing room that there were opportunities for future growth sitting back there.
Although there were.
Well, I suppose there's always the second innings.
Exactly.
So Price
could be today.
It could be. It wouldn't be the first time.
Oh no.
Porter bowls and Ollie Price drives. Doesn't time it perfectly, but he's got it right into the gap in the covers, and they should be able to turn it back for a pretty comfortable 2. And that's exactly what they will do. So Ollie Price moves up to 3, and it's 47 for 6. Gloucestershire can bat very deep, as I probably mentioned earlier without anybody hearing me say so, but both Ollie and Tom have made quite promising starts to their Gloucestershire careers with the bat, albeit have yet to get a really big score, but there's certainly ability there, and Zafar Gohar has a first-class century to his name as well. As Porter bowls a tennis ball bouncer really, which Ollie Price decides to duck underneath. He's a good player at the short ball, is Ollie Price. He's quite a tall chap, so that helps. But with a mid-wicket in place, he's got to be a bit careful of where he hits it. So probably a wise decision just to have a little look at the first short delivery that he's seen. Porter at the end of his mark comes bounding in and he bowls, and forward is Ollie Price, just pushing confidently out wide of mid-off, but he won't pick up a run for it. Shane Snater does the fielding there with the wristband on his left hand, and Cook has the wristband on his right hand up at mid-on. Quite sure what the reasoning behind that is. To have a wristband on opposite arms, both bowl with the same hand. Interesting. Porter in, and Ollie Price with a leave outside the off stump. That was an entertaining hour. Thank you so much for your hospitality. I think I'm going to go and have a lie down now for half an hour at the back of the box.
Probably a wise idea. Well, you could go next door and help yourself to a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. We're always warmly welcome in the press box. Thanks, Ed, very much. And still under the protocols of COVID, we have to take our microphones with us and all use different microphones and different headphones. And hopefully next season normality will have returned completely rather than merely partially. I don't often have the pleasure of working with David Brett, and it is a pleasure, so especially when the sun's shining, which it is today. It's a glorious day, one of the best days we've had for quite a while, really. It's going to be Snater coming into the attack from the river end, who's really been a bit of a revelation over the last couple of weeks or more. Bowled very well at Cardiff and has generally had a good season. In fact, there are a lot of people on social media saying he could be the player of the season, although he hasn't taken many wickets with deliveries like that, which is way outside the off stump. Just let David finish his glass of, looks a bit like gin and tonic, but it's probably not.
Straight vodka. Straight vodka just to get me through that first hour of the day.
Even my wife doesn't drink gin and tonic at 11:30 in the morning.
No, she's onto the stronger stuff at that time.
That's right. Yes, who wants tonic anyway? That's outside the off stump, goes through to the keeper. So how are you, Dave?
Very good, you?
Yeah, I'm not
well.
bad.
Say very good. It's been rather a pressurised morning, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but we don't let these things get us down,
No.
do we? Particularly since they're not really, these problems are really beyond our solving.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of the listener, Dick, that's all.
We've run all the changes we can, and no, we can't do any more. Gov has played out in the onside, fielded by Rimal. You were telling me off air when you went to watch Southend United yesterday.
I did, yes, yeah. Paying member of the, I've got a few friends from Wrexham, so there was 6 or 7 of them down, so I went and sat in the Wrexham end.
And Wrexham came back from 2-0 down?
Yeah, drew 2-2. It was a good game of football as well, actually.
Was it?
Yeah.
Good crowd?
Yeah, I reckon there could have been close to 4,000 there.
Really? Snater moves in right arm over the wicket, bowls outside the off stump. Yeah, I'm not a great football fan, but if I support any side, I'm proud to say at Southend United, through thick and thin. My dad first took me to watch Southend when we were I would have been about, 10 or 11, I should think. The ground's about 3 miles from where we lived, and every other Saturday on average, we'd pedal down on our bikes to the ground. And they didn't cover themselves in glory even in those days. But that's outside the off stump. Just played defensively. And I can remember, often we'd then cycle back, we'd have tea, and my mother would say, well, how did it go this afternoon? And we'd say, oh, rubbish, we're never going again. And sure enough, not till a fortnight later, we'd be pedalling down to Roots Hall as Slater moves in and bowls. That's outside the off stump, it goes through to the wicketkeeper.
I doubt the old stadium's changed much in that time either.
No, no, it hasn't.
A few more seats, I suppose, in there, but apart from that.
Well, I don't want to go into too much because we've got BBC Gloucestershire or Radio Gloucester or Bristol listeners as well who probably aren't that interested in Southend United. But it used to be just a sort of, at the south end, just a mud bank really, which was, you couldn't watch from there in the rainy season because it was just, a morass, if that be the word. But yes, there have been some changes down there, not least in managers, but then so is every club, I suppose.
It's Porter, I think, continuing from the Hayes close end. him and Cook have done the destruction this morning. Gloucestershire 47 for 6 as Porter comes in and bowls. That's edge gone to full slip. A loose drive, that one from Ollie Price. Trying to punch it away through the offside. Price goes for 3. That's a 7th Gloucestershire wicket to fall this morning. Essex are running rampant and they're 47 for 7. And Porter takes another wicket under what is pretty good conditions. So can only say if the ball's doing anything, it's off the surface more than anything else. It's not really swinging conditions out there.
No, and as slip catches go, I think Brown, who it was at 4th slip, they don't come much easier than that. It was just about sort of chest height and just above the height where you're not quite sure whether to dip your hands down or up, but just sort of below his chin and straight to him. Very, very comfortable catch. So Ollie Price was out for 3.
It was a sharp catch though, I would say. It flew at him, but like you say, it was a comfortable height.
Yeah, so Porter now has 4, Cook has 3. Obviously they could both finish up with 5 wicket hauls. And although Cook is less likely to, since he's been replaced at this end by Snater. So to the wicket comes Zafir Gohar, about whom I know nothing, to be honest, but then he probably knows nothing about me either, so we have some mutual ignorance on the subject.
I'll never say never.
Left-handed batsman, I can tell you that. Short-ish. And wearing number 77.
I reckon he's probably about, 5'9"?
Something like that, I should think.
Of course, they're all pretty much getting taller these days, aren't they?
Well, yes.
It is the way of the world. So Porter, 44 on his back. Just took the wicket of Price. Will come right on round the wicket to the left-handed. I think they just called him Zafir. I'm sure I heard with the announcer earlier. That one's just defended back down the pitch, and there's no run.
Of course. The scoreboard just says Zafir.
Yeah, 4 slips, backward point, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, and a fine leg for Zafir. Just very, very briefly back to the football. Wrexham obviously been taken over by those Hollywood superstars. There's a bit of money behind them, so they're signing quite big players. But their star striker, who they signed from a team that went up to League One last year, he was injured for yesterday's game, but came and sat in with the crowd.
Oh right.
It was actually quite nice to see.
Yeah.
As the Porter comes in down the slope, bowls, and that's on middle of the leg, that's just defended away into the leg side. Fielded at mid-on, and there's no one. 47 for 7, pretty much clear blue skies above us now. It was cloudy to start with, but that's been burnt off. Lots of sun hats out, it's a lovely day, and actually feels like summer's arrived. It's just a shame it's about 3 months too late.
Yes, we haven't had many better days than this. I think there was a time, early June or sometime, when it was really warm for 4 or 5 consecutive days, but generally speaking it's not been a good summer. But at least we have had some cricket to watch.
Porter in, bowls back of the length, that's just defended away into the leg side, and there's no run. BBC Essex Cricket at gmail.com if you do want to get in touch with us. I know a few of you have this morning about some of our technical issues. We do apologise again for it, but out of our control. It's suddenly just all started going pear-shaped from pretty much ball 1. But hopefully it's all back up and running, working. Now the weird thing is we're not entirely sure what went wrong, apart from the fact that perhaps one headset or one microphone might have packed up, but even that we're not sure of either.
But then I had a text from a friend of mine who said it was...
Here comes Porter, bowls on his toes, Zafir plays it away, they start to come for a single, and it's a bit of a me to you, and eventually they went back into the crease. It was probably good fortune for them as well, because Brown was closing in predatory from the backward point area, and there's no run. 47 for 7. BBC Essex Cricket at gmail.com, and we've had a few emails just confirming that the sound quality, I think, is back up and running.
Yeah, we're having... Apparently the sound still isn't particularly good.
So left to go through to the wicketkeeper, and that's the end of the over. 15 gone, and Gloucestershire are 47 for 7. I think it's going to be after Ron we try and fix at the lunch break, because there's not huge amounts we can do at the moment.
No, we've run the changes. We've just about done everything we can. I suppose it'd be a bit unfair to say it's whatever it is, the problem is it's not of our doing, but...
That's the problem. TMS has about a team of about 20 technicians sitting behind them while they're doing the commentary. Unfortunately, it's just us jack of all trades, master of none.
Yes, quite. Yes, I mean often, well not often, because I don't often talk about what I do, but if anybody insists on asking me what I do and I tell them, they say, oh yes, how many, you know, what sort of size production team have you got? I said, no.
Production team, what?
No. That is us. We are it.
What's a production team?
Yes, as straight as... that's way outside the off stump. And signalled accordingly by umpire Lungley. Tom Lungley, I think it is. Former Derbyshire? Not sure.
Yeah.
The other one being Neil Bainton, one of the few umpires who hasn't played first class or professional cricket. In the winter he's a postman in Helsted.
Fabulous.
Probably dresses up as Father Christmas in December. There's next livery outside the off stump, but not far enough to be called wide. Goes through to the keeper. I think during the answer to every technical problem, whether it be a washing machine, a mobile phone, anything really, is switch it off and switch it on again. I think maybe at lunchtime we'll start again and come in as if it were still first thing in the morning. Failing that, we've done all we can, Gov. As Slater moves in again and bowls. It's played out on the onside to Rymal and mid-on, who's on the ball very quickly. Not that they ever looked as if they were going to take a single. Rymal had a very good season so far. Didn't have a good time down at Cardiff, but had a very good season in England. And clapping his hands to exhort his teammates to greater efforts. Not that they probably need too much exhortation. They've done a pretty good job in the first 42 minutes. Slater moves in and bowls. Well, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I think the batsman just did take the bat away at the last minute there. The effects mic is too loud is one of the comments. Right, we can turn that down. Thank you. That might help. Thank you. Our Chief Quality Control Officer in Leon C is on the case. As Slater moves in and bowls. Well, that's outside the off stump, and batsman has the luxury of letting it go through. And as Ed said, there's a good crowd up here. In fact, where they always congregate first of all, of course, on top of the Tom Pearce stand just away to our right. There's probably hardly a seat to be had. There might be the odd one on its own here and there, but if you came as a twosome or more, I doubt that you'd sit together. Understandably, it's the favoured position, particularly on a day like this when the sun's shining and it's not behind the line, but it's more behind the line than it could be. That's outside the off stump, and understandably, most people are wearing hats of various descriptions, from caps to straw hats to sort of boater type things. I haven't actually seen a top hat yet, but and a floppy white hat, quite a few floppy white hats. So yeah, it's a glorious day for watching cricket. Slater moves in and bowls, and that's played pleasantly out to mid-on, but again it's non-productive as Rymal makes a few paces to his right and fields it. And it's the end of the over, and Gloucestershire, having been put into bat, are 48 for 7.
Ken has been in touch. He's asking if the Gloucestershire opener Hammond is any relation to the late great Wally. He is not.
No. Apparently, it says from the back of the box. No, I think we'd have known over the years if he was.
Wally is me.
I don't think he's relation to a former Chancellor of the Exchequer either.
Oh, just an email in about, just very briefly back to Roots. Well, apparently there was a crowd over 6,000 yesterday,
Really?
which is very, very impressive.
It is, isn't it? Yes.
Especially for a non-league game.
Yep, I wasn't among them, but David was. I went and watched rugby instead.
Here comes Porter continuing from the haze closer, and that's just dug down. He's offside with a bit of hesitation. There's a chance of right here, but he just managed to pick up his acceleration just in time. As I think, is that Brown coming in from backward point, or is it Rymel? Can't quite see. He's not turning.
No, it's not Brown. It's Pepper, I think.
It's Pepper. Yeah, coming in. So just a slight bit of hesitation there from Zafar as he gets himself off the mark.
Yes, which doesn't do your running partner any good. You start off and your partner comes down, and then he sort of slightly falters, and you think, I could be sold up the Swanee here, but he wasn't.
Right-handed batsman on strike as Porter bowls full, and that's just guided down towards third man. There's a fielder just sweeping on the boundary coming round to field that. There will be a couple of runs though. That's backward a square on the leg on the offside. Higgins gets 2 to the total, 14 for him, and Gloucestershire's 50 is up.
Yes,
50
indeed.
for 7 in the 17th over.
Oh, brilliant. Most important event of the day is that the meal tickets have arrived. Yes, I say I went to watch rugby, and
Where'd you go?
I went and watched my own club, Westcliff, and they lost very narrowly to a club from Bristol, which is appropriate, otherwise I wouldn't have mentioned it.
Porter in bowls. Oh, that just beats the outside edge, squared him up entirely there. And Higgins takes a walk to short leg just to have a think about things. Beautiful delivery, angled in, straightening up and through to the wicketkeeper. And there's no run. 51 for 7.
Yes, a high-scoring game. They lost by narrowly enough to get a bonus losing point to Ding's Crusaders, who I understand come from the Filton area of Bristol, where they used to make Concords and things.
Down the slope, here comes Porter again, bowls full this time. Yorker length dug out by Higgins into the offside, and there's no run. 51 for 7.
No, it was a good game. The lead constantly swapping, a high scoring. I remember Westcliff scored 24 and Dings scored, I'm not sure, 28, something like that. And they won by half a dozen. No, maybe not as much as that.
Not been to see huge amounts of club rugby, but I've always enjoyed going when I have. I've only seen about 2 or 3 games, but it's a very community atmosphere.
Oh yes, it was
barbecues fired up and everything. Here comes Porter again, back of a length this time on his toes. Higgins guides it down towards backward point. There's no run.
Yeah, lots and lots of people there. In fact, I don't want to exaggerate, but I must have had at least a quarter of a mile walk from the ground before I could park the car, if not more. And it's got a big car park at Westcliff, but that was full. All the approaching roads were full.
You could have walked there from home, couldn't you?
Well, I could have done if I'd set off soon after breakfast, yes.
Here comes Porter in again, past the umpire, bowls, and on his toes again Higgins guides out. This time it's forward of the square on the offside, and mid-off comes round to field. That's the end of the over, 51 for 7, and just briefly things have quietened down from a bowling point of view, and these batsmen just starting to pick up a few runs. 51 for 7, 17 overs gone.
Yes, they have. So apart from the broadcasting challenges, I can't get online either for some reason. So, but you obviously can.
Yeah, bbcsxcricket@gmail.com if you want to get in touch.
We haven't had any more emails, have we?
No.
Right. Okay. Well, we might not have that many listeners because there is a counter attraction at the Oval, of course. What's going on there? Have you got any idea?
Yes, India are batting.
Oh, really?
And
so England didn't get the last 7 wickets in the first half hour then?
It doesn't seem like they're going to get any wicket anytime soon either.
Oh,
certainly
right.
if they can't catch anymore.
Slater, that's outside the off stump and goes through to the keeper. Well, yeah, quite. There's an interesting article in today's paper by a gentleman who's standing out there at first slip, Sir Alistair Cook, who basically he does it rather more with greater erudition than I would have done, but basically he says the old adage of catches win matches is true, really, and especially slip catching. Slater moves in and bowls, and that's played square on the offside.
It's one of those things that you don't always appreciate at the time, but when you actually have a settled slip cordon that's there for 3, 4, 5 years, and there's not really much change about, you don't quite realise just how many slip catches they take. So the, in inverted commas, great England side of the late 2000s, early 2010s, they were taking everything, whereas this England side stats came up on the screen earlier, they're the lowest percentage out of all the test sides apart from Bangladesh in taking catches over the last couple of years.
Slater, right arm round the wicket to the left-handed Zafar, who just plays it defensively out on the onside, no addition to the score. And it's often said that the advent, or almost the domination of one-day cricket has improved fielding enormously. I would modify that and say it's improved outfielding enormously, but the other side of that particular coin is that the standard of slip fielding has gone down, because there's no such thing nowadays as specialist slip fielders, because you can find yourself in slips one day and down at extra cover the next day. And that is
dropped.
just to prove the point, although it wasn't easy, diving away to his right at second slip by Harmer of all people, but no,
it was low. It was difficult.
It was low, and he had to go forward as well. He did well to get a hand to it. It was technically a chance, but no. But yes, as I say, there were, once upon a time there were cricketers who'd spent, when they're fielding, they'd spent almost their whole career literally fielding in the slips, and so they became rather.
What's that hit?
Well, that just reared. That's the first one to have done that, I'd have thought. It seemed a very good length ball.
It just cut him in half, didn't it?
Which moved away, and then, Wheater's not a tall fella, but he took it high up.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on the one-day stuff, because with the amount of one-day cricket that's played anymore, there is no slip calling after about the first. No. Well, certainly in T20 you get about one slip in there for the first, maybe overall two.
Yeah.
In one-day cricket you might get it for maybe first 5 or 6, and then the field starts to spread.
Slater moves in and bowls, and that's nudged down to fine leg or long leg for a single. Or is it a leg bye? It is a leg bye, signalled somewhat athletically by umpire Tom Lungley.
He's been doing his yoga this morning, hasn't he?
Yeah, to the scorers, Tony Choate and Adrian Bull, who's been doing the job for Gloucestershire for a long time. Lovely fellow. I had a long chat with him before the start of play today, and always good to see Adrian. And so at the end of the over, and Gloucestershire having been put in about a 52 for 7.
Michael's been in touch, thank you very much. bbcscricket@gmail.com. He says, doesn't this show the folly of resting Porter against Notts earlier this season?
Well, possibly.
Yes. Yeah. Essex had a few issues, didn't they, at the start of the campaign, which cost them their place in the top division, as Porter comes round the wicket, bowls. That's turned off the pad by Safa, down towards long leg for a single, 53 for 7.
Yes, it hasn't been one of Essex's best seasons, but they're not going, almost by definition they can't all be the best, since best is a comparative term. And they've had so many good years. I mean, everything in cricket, in sport, in life, everything goes full circle. And
and of course, early season, was it 6 or 7 county championship games they played back to back?
Yes.
As Porter comes over the wicket, that's left alone outside the off stump by Higgins. A nice big stride in there. He was confident that wasn't going to nip back and hit the stumps. 53 for 7. We're in the 19th over. Here on the first morning, remember Essex won the toss, elected to field. We've got bright blue skies, but they've made strong headwinds into the Gloucestershire batting lineup. So thanks for getting in touch with us, Michael. Jeff's got in touch with us as well about the sound. I think everything's sounding a little bit better now.
Oh, is it? Oh, good.
Hopefully so, as a wasp just hovers menacingly in front of us. Oh, that beats the outside edge with Higgins coming forward. Played at that one. Didn't quite know what was going to do. It's just trying to play the line and hoping that it wasn't going to nick the outside edge of the bat, and it goes through to Wheater. And there's no run. Zafar on 2, Higgins on 14. They're trying to counter-attack here, but again, Porter, who's bowled unchanged all morning, is keeping these two batsmen honest.
Yes, he has. This is his 10th over, taken 4 for 32 so far.
Porter in again. Bowls again full, and that's pushed back by Higgins. Full face of the bat, back to the bowler, and there's no run. Yeah, turning down the effects mic seems to have done the job. So fingers crossed. Hopefully there will be no more gremlins in the kit. But as Ed and I were saying, this kit has, I mean, it's been around ever since I joined BBC Essex. It was the best part of 20 years ago, and probably around for a good 20 years before that as well.
Yes. Is it that long you've been on board? Excellent.
About 15 years.
It couldn't have been. You'd have still been at
that's edged onto the pads. A loose drive outside the off, some thick inside edge. That was careering into the stumps. Had his pads not got in the way. It's the end of the. Sorry, it's not the end of the over. It's 53%.
If you started commentating 20 years ago, you're probably the only cricket commentator to have done the job while you're still at kindergarten.
I think.
Your first game, I remember, was at Cardiff.
Yeah, I can't remember. The first full commentary was Nottingham, Trent Bridge, when Swan was still playing. They had a great side, Nottinghamshire, at that point, as Porter bowls edged and on the bounce, well taken. That was a superb stop by Wesley, low to his right-hand side, picked it up on the bounce. That would have flown away for 4 runs had he not got a big right hand to it. Excellent stop by Wesley at 53 for 7. Yeah, Swan was playing. David Hussey was playing. Stephen Fleming was the captain.
Well,
that would have been 2007. I think my first football match was about 2006, so 15 years ago.
Time flies.
It does, yeah. It's the problem with doing all these commentaries. You just work by season, and the seasons seem to come around quicker and quicker.
They do. Like Christmases.
Matt's got in touch with us. Hello, Matt. He's in the ground today. He's watching from sunny he's watching from sunny Springfield in Chelmsford, so he's not at the ground. He's just down the road. Rymel, Butterman, Pepper, Plom, etc. all look handy youngsters. Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Oh yes. Snater in again. Bowls to Zaffer. Zaffer plays out quietly into the offside. Fielded by Pepper.
Of course, obviously the big complaints about the 100 nicking all the stars, but it did give people the chance to blood their youngsters in the Royal London, and the actual Royal London One Day Cup, certainly from the games that I saw, were pretty decent games of cricket.
Yes, I thoroughly enjoyed the 50 over competition. If not, partly because it gave the youngsters a chance, because I think all counties are reluctant to blood their youngsters, and this year they were forced to. That's just played defensively by Zappa. Of the 9 batsmen we've seen so far, Zappa has looked as assured or more assured than most.
Yes,
the only people we haven't seen so far are David Payne and Tom Price, or his brother.
Matt goes on to ask, is there anyone else coming through the ranks that looks good? I've seen a couple, but their names escape me at the minute, which I'll just wait to get me old. I think that one's just played back down the pitch, no run.
Well, there's Cushy who's not playing
Cushy,
today.
That's what I was thinking of, yeah. Got the century up at Durham.
What's the special offer at Roothill yesterday then?
Very confident lad as well. I quite like that, actually.
Yes, there's Allison who's not playing today.
Yep, Allison looks good, an all-rounder.
Allison and Cook, both products of Chelmsford, who won the Essex League title.
Matt also asked, where's Aaron Beard been?
Well, that's a very good question.
Pulled away into the leg side.
Down to the boundary just behind square. He seems to have been, well, it'd be unfair to say the forgotten man, because he's sometimes to be found as 12th man, but yet another product of Chelmsford Cricket Club. They have this assembly line of seam bowlers. I expect Chelmsford Cricket, well no, they won the title anyway. I was going to say they might have been saying, well, if Essex don't want to play him, he's welcome to come back to Chelmer Park and take a few wickets for us. But there's almost an embarrassment of riches in the seam department for Essex, so they can't play them all. The Snater moves in and bowls to Zafir, who plays, well, he's picked up runs down to 3rd man. I'm not quite sure, well, I am pretty sure it wasn't where he intended to. The bat seemed to twist in his hands a little bit as he played the shot. Probably looking to drive it through the covers, and finished up getting 3 perfectly safe runs down to 3rd man. At the end of the over, I'll make room for Ed, who it's been a great pleasure to meet and commentate with today. We haven't encountered each other before.
Well, one brings...
It's an experience he won't forget. As long as if he does this job for 40 years, he'll say, "Oh, I remember going down to Chelmsford in September 2021. Oh dear." So Slater moves in and bowls. That's outside the off stump, goes through to the keeper. It is indeed the end of the over, and Gloucestershire, having put into bat, are 60 for 7. And after a few more words from David, he'll be joined by David Seaborn. Not David Seaborn, Ed Seaborn.
My uncle.
Ed's uncle is on his way. Cheers, Dick. Dick will be back after lunch. Remember, kicked off at 10:30 this morning, so lunch will be taken at 12:30. Well, one brings two. There's been 2 quick wickets at the Test match, so England trying to get their way through the India batting line at 296 for 5 now. Jadeja and Rahane are both out. Brings Pant to the crease, but Kohli is still there. So Zafar's going to be on strike, and we're going to see Cook coming on from the Hayes close end. Porter being given a rest after bowling for pretty much an hour and a half unchanged, as Cook bowls right arm round, and that's a thick inside edge. That was veering in towards the pads. I think if it had struck the pads, that might have been going down leg side. It was just clipped away and down towards fine leg for a single. 60-7. Welcome back, Ed.
Thank
you
you.
recovered?
No. Honestly, no. But yes, enjoying the view from this seat. It's a little bit warmer here than it is in that one.
It's hot. If you want to swing the window around, that does shield you from the sun. Yeah, as we were saying before, this is the warmest it's been all season. I went to 5 days of Test match cricket at 3 different grounds, and I had 4 layers on at every single day of the cricket. So this is actually quite welcome. As Cook comes in, bowls, cut off the back foot down towards third man. Is that going to go for 4? Is there a fielder out there? There's not a fielder out there. The man at deep backward point can't get there, and third man can't get there either. And it was a Hitley shot from Cook, and it was dispatched for 4 runs. 65 for 7. And Zafar has looked pretty confident since he's been at the crease. Is there on 10? Sorry, that was Higgins. He goes to 18.
Well, it's still true. Zafar has looked relatively confident since coming to the crease, and he's, I guess, got a bit of a chance to prove himself here with the bat. He didn't get much of a bowl in the last game. His conditions were so seamer friendly that, unfortunately for him, he only got a bit of a bowl in the first innings. He didn't get a bowl at all in the second innings, having been signed for these 4 matches as the overseas player.
Here comes Cook in again. Oh, that beats Higgins. All ends up through the batsman, trying to play a defensive shot. I think that cut straight through him, through to the wicketkeeper, and there's no run. Bit of lift off the pitch, that one as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's not been easy out there. It just probably hasn't been 65 for 7 hard either. So, yeah, a bit of a mixture really. But Higgins has played a weird old innings so far, really. It charged down the pitch to what must have been about his 6th ball or something like that, and whacked it through mid-wicket. Isn't anything like that since.
Here comes Porter, bowls back of a length, that's defended into the leg side, and there's no run. Just needs to pitch it up a tiny bit fuller, does Cook.
He'll get there.
Yeah. 4 slips still in for Essex, as you would expect. 7 wickets down, having won the toss and elected to bowl. I think you're quite right. At least 2 or 3 of those dismissals were questionable. Certainly the leave that hit off stump, Bracey's wild drive outside the off stump. Here comes Porter. 4 slips go down up to the stumps, and he bowls. That's turned off the pads into the leg side. Mid-wicket fields, and there's no run. 65 for 7. Just hope that. Wesley struggled when he got picked for England and then dropped. Wesley struggled for possibly the next few games after Essex. Just hope Bracey can regain his mental strength and just come back and regain the form that's got him on the England selectors' radar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and who knows? It may take an off-season to do that.
Don't want to see what happened to Hamid either. That's full, and that's pushed down the ground, and that's a no ball as well. So 66 for 7. Oh no, that's the end of the over. I thought you signalled no ball there. That is the end of the over. 65 for 7. 21 overs gone.
He was doing a lot of wafting of the arms out sideways. I was a little bit confused for a moment there as well. Anyway, yeah, so Gloucestershire aren't the only side in so far. Worcestershire 32 for 4 against Kent. That's a Division 3 match. In this division, Surrey 29 for 3 against Northamptonshire. That match taking place at Wantage Road. I mean, these scores actually may be a little bit out of date now. I'm looking at them because my internet's having a few difficulties, so I could be giving you a few scores which are from around about half an hour ago, but we shall...
I'll get the scores, you can take over the commentary.
Right. Here's Snater, round the wicket, he bowls to Gohar, who has to go back into his crease there, really, as he went off the thigh pad straight to mid-wicket, and there was never a run there, and Higgins made sure they didn't go through. I guess I should call him Zafar, really, because that tends to be, well, we tend to apply, well, I do anyway, without thinking, you tend to apply English, Christian and surname rules to well, which it shouldn't be applied, as Zafar plays this one off an inside half the bat, really, out into the leg side. He'll get one this time as Walter moves across, and he just turned his ankle or something there briefly. He was just feeling that right foot, but it's a run on the board, and Zafar Gohar moves up to 11. It's 66 for 5, and a semblance of partnership beginning to build here. Snater, locks flowing past umpire Lungley and bowls. That's driven down the ground. There'll be a dive at mid-off though, and no run as a consequence. Good work from Rymel at mid-off, because it was timed pretty well by Higgins.
Yeah, I like that line as well. There's a couple of deliveries which Snater's been arrowing in on the stumps. Right, so latest scores: Derbyshire, Leicestershire. Leicestershire are 66 for 1, so made a good start there. Leicestershire, Durham, Glamorgan. Glamorgan are 73 for 4, so continuing their strife on from the last game against Essex.
So here is Snater, he's in, and bowls left by Higgins, not without a little bit of discomfort for a moment, but it kind of nipped away actually in the end, and through to Wheater behind the stumps.
Kent, Worcestershire. Worcestershire, this is at Canterbury, I think. Worcestershire are 54 for 6. Northants, Surrey. Surrey are 42 for 3. And Notts are 78 for 1 against Lancashire, so they've made a good start to the day as well.
Snater, easy approach, bowls, and Higgins whips this one wide of mid-on, and that is going to go towards what is a relatively short boundary and be 4 runs. So Higgins, the first into the 20s at 70 for 7, Higgins up to 22, and I thought he might have hit that. Well, the timing was better than I thought, is what I'm trying to say, because I thought the bat kind of turned in his hand a little bit there, but it raced across the outfield and away for 4.
It must have been a late start at Warwickshire, because they've only bowled 9 overs. Hampshire are 24 for 1.
Why they started late there. Snater bowls, outside off, well outside off, and left by Higgins to end Snater's 5th over. 5 overs, 2 maidens, 0 for 13. It's 70 for 7 after 22 overs.
And finally Yorkshire, Somerset. Somerset are 68 for 3 in their first innings.
Perhaps they forgot what time it started. Yeah. I would love it if that did happen, if they just forgot that it was a 10:30 start now rather than an 11 o'clock one.
I've got to admit, and Dick won't be surprised when I say this, it was only late last night that I remembered that the matches kick off at 10:30 in the morning. So I suddenly had this revelation about 10 o'clock last night to reset my alarm. I have a history of turning up at wrong grounds and getting wrong start times. Thankfully I got the right ground though, and eventually the right start time.
Well, I suppose not too many choices for an Essex home game.
Absolutely. I think the administration chose this just for me as Cook bowls. That wraps Zafar high on the pad and there's no run. Yeah, we're bemoaning the lack of outgrounds. It's just a shame we lost Colchester. Not so upset about Southend, but yeah, do miss Colchester. But it looks like, well, we've been at Chumps now, Dick. What's 4 seasons without an outground? Dixon Groston, whatever he's doing behind us. I think it's about four or five seasons that Essex haven't had any outground cricket, which is a shame. Porter turns. Beautiful sunshine today. Not a wisp of air. The trees in the background still as you like, as that one's pushed out into the offside. A gentle tip and run. 71 for 7. Zaffa goes to 12. Things just quietened down. Partnership now 21.
Yeah.
Sorry, 31.
They have, because I think there's just been an air of calm about the way these two have gone about it since that charge down the pitch from Higgins early on in his innings. They just haven't. Well, yeah, they've just gone about things pretty calmly. I mean, admittedly, it may have got easier now that the ball's a little bit older, but at the same time, if they can continue to go about things the way they have, then, well, maybe they can get Gloucestershire up to some sort of a total, if not way short, I'm sure, of where they would have been hoping for at 10:30 this morning.
Sorry, partnership of 24. My maths is terrible. That's off the toes, driven into the offside. That's a lovely stop at backward point. Is that Rymel? Turn your back and we can see. No, it's Pepper fielding at backward point, diving to his left-hand side. Two-handed stop. That would have gone away for 4 runs. The Test match could be looking very interesting. So it's day 4. India have a lead of 199 with 5 wickets in hand. So Pants at the crease though, so it could get a little bit interesting if he starts to hit out.
Hit out or get out.
He's had a tough series, but he's got a chance to really turn the screw on England. But here at Chelmsford, Essex have got Gloucestershire under the cosh as that delivery is left alone outside the off stump. Wheater fumbles the ball behind him. In fact, just look at his hands there, taking his glove off, wringing his hands. Nasty one. Wicketkeeper's hands battered and bruised, fingers all over the place.
And who would be a keeper? Because there's not one keeper really that I've seen this season not at some point have that. I know, admittedly, at Bristol you tend to get that even more than at other grounds for constantly taking the ball down low on the bounce, but still, who'd be a wicketkeeper?
Cooking again bowls. That's a guided way past backward point. In between backward point and full slip, it's a sliding stop. It's just a single run. That's a decent bit of fielding again. Pepper lightning quick after it. Just the 1 run to the total. 72 for 7, and the partnership ticks up to 25. Much needed partnership as well for Gloucestershire.
Yeah, he's been good as Pepper at backward point, saved quite a few runs already, and I don't know how he managed to keep that down to 2, because it looked to be about halfway to the boundary, but yeah, they just kept the pressure on really, and they've tinkered about a bit with the field in terms of, at one point with Higgins batting, they had somebody out at deep point and deep square leg, but not now.
Yeah, got deep backward square and fine leg back, setting up possibly for the bounce. Oh, that one's nicked behind. No, it's beating the outside edge of the back end, just jagged in off the surface, and Zaffa played inside the line, and that is the end of the over. I think they're going to have just a quick, very, very quick drinks break, change of helmets, and Gloucestershire are 72 for 7.
It's a bit cruel, really, not having proper drinks breaks if weather's actually going to be like this, because they don't nowadays. They're all kind of absorbed into the sanitisation break. Yeah. But on a day like this, you actually do want to be hanging about for a few minutes having a drink. And it's not as though, I mean, we've got 5:30 finish. If the sun's going to be out, then you're probably all right. Well, no, you are going to be all right until well after that. What the problem is, though, and was in Gloucestershire's last match, it was only the final day when we were playing beyond about 5 o'clock, because there was that blanket of quite heavy grey cloud, and it just didn't move for pretty much the entire 4 days until right at the end, when Gloucestershire were chasing down the total in the last session of the match, the one session where it needed to be sunny or it would have been a draw. The sun came out, and I can't imagine the curse words that Northamptonshire fans and players would have been uttering towards the heavens at that point. But
it's like Mother Nature was a Gloucestershire fan.
Well, at that point, yes, indeed. Simon Harmer is into the attack from the River End. I suppose it's a mark of the fact that Gloucestershire have lost 7 wickets. He almost hasn't been into the attack early. You expect to see Harmer so early. But here he is with a leg slip, a short leg and a slip in place, and he starts off with a full toss, which Higgins works straight to Snater at mid-wicket, and how he didn't get a run off that delivery, I'm not quite sure. I suppose it's just the first ball that he's seen from Harmer. He didn't want to go too hard at it. Here's Harmer, he bowls, and Higgins plays this one down and fielded at short leg by Pepper. So they've got a long on and a deep mid-wicket, but nobody in the covers, either on the boundary or in the ring. Harmer in, flighted, and Higgins turns that one on the bounce to short leg once again, and there's no run. I was thinking about Harmer versus all these left-handers at the top of Gloucestershire's order. well, we solved that problem, only not quite the way they would have liked. A little bit of turn there from Harmer, but then it was dragged down a little bit, so you would expect possibly there to be a little bit more turn when that's the case, and Higgins worked it off the back foot but straight to backward square leg, and there's no run there. Harmer ready in once more, fires that one in down the leg side, and there's a dive and a stop. A short fine leg, good work from Cook. Is that Sam Cook at short fine leg there?
Looks like it, yeah.
Anyway, it was probably not one of Harmer's greater deliveries, so he'll be grateful that he was backed up there in the field, and Higgins gets a run. He moves up to 24, and now Harmer will get the left-hander to bowl at in Zafar Gohar, who he'd like to hope ought to be able to play spin decently, being Pakistani overseas player, spinner himself, so spinner to spinner. And two slips in place and a short leg for Zafar, as that's a back of a length delivery from Harmer and punched straight to backward point, and there's no run. So one run off the over, 73 for 7 after 24 overs. And well, if Gloucestershire can get to the break without any further damage, then there's a small chance of some sort of a recovery in the afternoon session. Tom Price and David Payne, the two to come. So Tom Price is more than useful with the bat, played a few lovely shots in the match against Northants. David Payne has not had his greatest season with the bat, but who knows, maybe now's the time.
Well, if you're going to step up, now's the time to do it. 73 for 7 Gloucestershire, 24 overs gone this morning. We've got just over 10 minutes to go till lunch. Cook in bowls, that's left alone outside the off stump. Higgins just showing a big stride forward to the bowler, just letting him know that you knew exactly where that was going, and it was a comfortable leave. Just the 3 slips in now. It goes to show the pressure that the batsmen are putting back on the bowlers. Certainly looked a lot easier over the last 20 minutes. Things seem to have quietened down a bit. There's been a few plays and misses, but nowhere near the chaos we had in the first hour and 15 minutes.
I'd say it's reflected in the commentary box as well.
Yeah, we've all calmed down as well. Here comes Porter, bowls 4 this time. Oh, and that was a loose drive. Got his own back one there, did Porter, and Higgins just rests his right arm on the bat, his left arm on his left thigh, and just thinks back through that. He'll be disappointed being drawn into that shot, and it beat him outside the off stump, and there's no run.
Yeah, it really was a flashing drive, and just wide enough of off stump that he couldn't play that one underneath his head, so he's playing away from his body, really drawn into that shot. And it is tempting with that gap at cover as well, but Higgins, he'd stayed disciplined up to that point.
Porter right arm in, it gets on to lift off a length this time. This time Higgins is going to walk through across to the leg side and just have a think about things. There's not really much he could have done about that. He played a defensive shot down the line of off stump, and the ball just rose off a length and through to the wicketkeeper and beat the batsman all ends up.
Oh yeah, that was a real rising delivery, and Wheater, albeit not the tallest, taking that one quite high up off pretty full length. So yeah, that's got to be in your mind, I'm sure, if you're batting out there, that the delivery could do that.
Porter in full this time, clipped off the pads, but it's straight to the man at mid-on, and there's no run. So Cook just mixing up the deliveries from the Hayes close end.
They've really pushed their opening bowlers as well, haven't they? Porter bowling a 10 over spell, and Cook now into his 9th of the morning, but I guess they're thinking, really go in for the kill now, and then we can put our feet up for a little while.
I don't know if the pitch has flattened out, maybe the sun's burnt off some of that green tinge. It looks a little bit browner than it was as Cook bowls and Higgins plays defensively into the offside. Some of the lacquer that's come off the ball, some of the zip's not quite there that it was this morning. But whatever happens, it has quietened down. 73 for 7. Partnership of 26. Yeah. I'm fairly confident with my maths with that one.
There you go.
Not usually that confident. The written commentary box is full. As Porter's in again, that's well wide of off stump, and that's a nice take by Wheater down to his right hand side, always erring away, no danger there for the batsman. That's the end of the over, 25 gone. We've got some more replacements coming out. What's happening this time? It's from the Essex side, and yeah, helmets are coming out for short leg, and perhaps a silly mid-off as well. We'll see, because there's 3 helmets coming out. Anyway, over to you.
Yeah, well, Harmer, just a few overs before lunch, but tricky period this, having built the semblance of something. To lose another one now before lunch would be pretty terminal, I think, for Gloucestershire's hopes of getting up towards any sort of a title. Harmer prepares to bowl 2 slips and a short leg for Zaffa. Oh gosh,
some mis-stumping, I think, that one.
I thought it was bowled for a moment there as well. I mean, the ball was floated right up to the bat, inviting the drive, which Zaffa went through with some flamboyance, only to get nothing on the ball at all. Here's Harmer, and the sweep comes out. He's got a top edge on this. It's going to be a comfortable catch for square leg, and it's taken. So Zaffa clearly wasn't just going to let Simon Harmer bowl, but chipping a top edge, looking to plant that one into the stands, and a really easy catch. And there is that extra breakthrough. Gloucestershire are now 73 for 8.
I've got to admit, it's not too often you see a man getting caught with short square leg trying to drive the bowler back down the ground, but that's exactly what happened. Just unsettled by that previous delivery. Thought the only way he was going to get out of this was trying to attack Harmer, and Harmer just tossed it up, drew the batsman into the shot, trying to wallop it away, probably over cow corner is where he was aiming, and it ended up at the man at backward square leg. Comfortable catch, as you say. It was in the air for a brief amount of time. It didn't go very high. It was an easy catch, just under the eyes. Lovely one.
No, I think even I might have had a shot at taking that one, which is saying something. But
well, at least that's all the left-handers gone. Harmer can't cause any more trouble now.
Right, I'm glad you said that. Zaffa out for 12. 12 made off 27 deliveries. Rymel, the man who took the catch. And now Tom Price to the middle, and they didn't cross actually. The ball was up in the air for long enough that they might have done, but perhaps Ryan Higgins thought, nah, I'm alright at this end actually. Quite happy not to cross. So it is Tom Price to face, and so now the 2 right-handers in, there won't be this kind of switching between helmet off, helmet on for the fielder who was at leg slip for the right-handers and second slip for the left-hander. So Tom Price facing up to Harmer. This will be a test. And Harmer's in and struck on the pad is Tom Price. I may have, whether it was inside edge, but he was certainly outside the line of off stump as he reached forward for it and didn't get to it.
Well, that's the way to play it, isn't it? Try and get as far down the pitch as possible and get your bat in front of the pad, or bat and pad together at least.
Harmer bowls slower and turned leg side. Price will get off the mark, and he's going to have to hurry actually here as Snater fires across his body to the non-strikers. Then that was a bit closer than I thought it might be. Higgins was to his end pretty comfortably, but I'm not sure whether Tom Price was a little bit slower out of the block, so he's got to look through short leg to where that ball went. So maybe just a little bit of hesitation on that front as Harmer's in again, and once more working into the leg side, but straight to backward square this time from Higgins, who is on 24, and he's got double the score of any other Gloucestershire batsman, as Higgins in behind this one plays it away out to mid-wicket. Harmer looks a little frustrated with that last couple of deliveries, but those are the high standards that a man who's taken the number of wickets that he has will set for himself. But it was an over which still produced a wicket. Zafar going for a, well, let me say slog sweep. Was looking to hit it into next week and only got as far as chipping it up into the air, and a comfortable catch taking it backwards square leg. 74 for 8. Charlesworth, LBW Porter for 12. Hammond also out the same way for 5. He was the first to go. Then Bracey, a flashing drive, nicked behind to Wheater off Cook for 3. Dent was caught in the slips by Harmer off Porter for 8. Lace bowled, chopped onto his stumps by Cook for 0. Van Buren also bowled, leaving. And that is off stump cartwheeling for 4, and Ollie Price caught brown ball Porter for 3.
Cook continuing from the Hayes close end bowls. There's an LBW appeal. It's going down the leg side, though height might have been an issue as well, and that's going to go for a leg by down to fine leg, and Price just gets off strike. 75 for 8. Yeah, I think probably what Harmer was frustrated at the end of the last over, that he only had was a couple of deliveries at Price before he managed to get off the mark, and Higgins happy to take the strike at the moment. But 3 slips in for Higgins as Cook will continue. We've had an email in from a listener, bbcsexcricket@gmail.com, as Cook comes in, bowls. That's turned off the pads into the leg side, and they'll take a single wide of mid-on, and there's 1 run to the total. 76 for 8. I'll ask you what you think a decent score is from here, but I suppose anything more than what we've got at the moment. Chris has been in touch. Good morning, lovely to have Chelmsford Essex Cricket on YouTube. It's great that these matches can all be viewed via various different means. You can see county cricket getting some airtime as that one's played down the ground. It's fielded at mid-on and there's no run. Question, what are the green circle marks, mostly on the outfield of the pitch? I don't have green fingers, I presume it's an irrigation thing.
It's no, what it is, they're fairy rings.
Go on. Oh, here we go. Yes, I didn't expect this. Go on.
No, they're fairy rings. I believe it's a fungus that causes them. They're completely harmless. It just looks, well, it's an interesting little abstract pattern.
Here comes Porter. That's a guided edge. I'm going to give the batsman a benefit of the doubt. They're very soft hands. It kept low. It was taken at third slip, and there's no run.
Yeah, and I think, as I say, they don't cause any damage. They just make it look slightly different. They're darker green rings, and I'm not quite sure why they're called fairy rings. I didn't actually think that fairies came up from the ground, but perhaps. Well, there we go. Perhaps in some mythology they do. I have no idea.
Yes, down the leg side from Porter. It's taken by Wheater, and there's no run. So it's a fungal thing.
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Fungal growth.
Fungal growth, lovely.
It's just what you want to be talking about just before lunch.
Thanks for the email, Chris. bbcsexcricket@gmail.com. Porter back at the top of his mark. We might get one more over in. We are creeping towards that half-12 mark, so we'll need to get through. We're a few overs short in the morning session as Porter bowls. That's defended towards backward point, and there's no run. Yes, I think we're going to get another over of Harmer, which we are. But obviously there's been 8 wickets to fall as well, so that'll be in the administrators' minds. 27 overs gone this morning. We'll get one more over, so 4 short of the 32 that we should be bowling. But as we said, 8 wickets have fallen as well, so I don't think Essex will be in any kind of trouble.
No, and there's always the second innings to take care of that, and especially if you're storming towards a victory and you've got a side 7 wickets down or so. You've got the ability to stick even 2 spinners on and correct that. That's going to be chipped and caught at short leg, and Higgins walks off. So Gloucestershire are now 9 down. I don't think it'll be lunch though, because the clock still hasn't ticked over to 12:30, which means that
we're here until for another half an hour at least.
Yeah, in fact, that's true, of course. So Higgins, I mean, it turned a little bit maybe, but it was more angle into the leg side, and just to be honest, a pretty careless clip, and it was about as easy a catch at short leg as you could ever see, really, for a short leg fielder. I mean, once again, he even had time to think about it at short leg. Normally you don't have time even to think about it. Higgins, very slow walk off. I'm sure he would have seen his job to be there at lunch, and he's not. So he made 25, which is, as I say, over double in the end what any other batsman has managed. But well, it started off quite positively for Higgins, but then he kind of dragged it back, started to look a little bit more comfortable, but falls right on the stroke of what would have been lunch but won't be now, and a simple catch for Pepper at short leg.
Yeah, Dick's come into the box with a chicken tikka masala, did you say? Yeah, lovely. Yeah, it smells nice.
Aromas.
Yeah.
Just tikka masala. Well, I can't wait for my own lunch now. But well, we'll see how long it takes. It may not take so long, given how things have gone so far. And David Payne now to take strike with 5 balls left in this Harmer over. Harmer in, bowls, and tosses that one right up, and Payne looks to drive and then shanks it through mid-wicket. Picked up by Snater there, and there's no run. Really floated that one up above the eye line. Harmer bowls, more flight, forward goes Payne in defence, picked up a short leg.
Played that one nicely, Payne.
Well, he's no mug with the bat, it's just that he hasn't really got the runs this season. He's normally good for some pretty solid contributions as he goes forward and defends that one very correctly with a big stride forward, but only 54 runs this season in the 7 matches that he's played, highest score 14, average 7.7, so it's not been the greatest of seasons for him batting wise. It's an inside edge and it trickles out apologetically towards backward square leg, and there's no run.
There's a quicker, flatter delivery from Harmer there. The batsman just a little bit late down on it. Could have crashed into the leg stump.
Harmer is in, and that has bowled him. So it didn't take very long for lunch. Payne lunging forward, and it sneaks between bat and pad, and that is the end of a sorry tale for Gloucestershire. 76 all out. Payne the last man to go, bowled without scoring. Harmer 3 for 2 from his 3 overs, and Gloucestershire, well, I think it's fair to say, going to have to bowl very well after the lunch break.
They are, so Essex will resume in 40 minutes time. What is the time at the moment? I haven't got my clock on me here. Let's have a quick look. It's 12:33, so we'll be back on about 13 minutes past 1, where Essex will start their second innings. So Gloucestershire all out for 76. Thanks very much for joining us this morning, and join us in the afternoon session in about 40 minutes time.
They're just not moving, but they're okay. So yes, our levels are a bit low.